God, you're a madman. This is the word of Darkseid.
Guess who's back?
Back. You son of a bitch.
Leave it in. We'll do it live.
We'll do it live. All right, folks. We're back for another episode of Dark Side of the Moon. All right, no, what are we talking about, you motherfucker?
We are talking about the two standalone movies in the Star Wars franchise, interquels, you might say, because they kind of exist.
I'm going to say now that you just told me the word 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, they exist, like Rogue One being kind of the 3.5. It's after 3, but before 4, and Solo being a standalone kind of backstory of a young Han Solo and how he came to be.
Yeah.
And so we watched them kind of together. I watched them in the same day. I don't know about you.
I watched them like a couple of days apart. I was
a couple of days apart.
A lot of spinning plates right now.
And it was interesting to just kind of take them in. It like steps aside from Skywalker, and it steps aside because when you think about Skywalker, it basically takes up between Anakin all the way down to Rey. It takes up all the.
She's not a Skywalker. She can go.
Oh well, you know, like that was the whole
two arms.
I'm Skywalker.
Yeah, she's got 2 arms. That'd be like me walking into your family reunion going, "I'm a Tuhi now." I'm like,
yeah,
you're not.
And you'd be like, he doesn't have a huge penis.
This fucking guy. I told you that confidence. You call me Short Willie for a reason.
But I enjoyed it. Which one do you want to take a little dive into first?
Like, I think, like, because what we've been talking about is we're not going to talk about this franchise in terms of the release. We're going to talk about how the events occur within the universe of the Star Wars universe itself. And that's why we went with the prequel, and that's why we've gone with Solo and Rogue One. As you said, they're interquels. They're the only ones that exist outside of the 3 trilogies, the Skywalker saga, those 9 movies. But not only that, they actually encapsulate or they capture 2 massive moments from Star Wars lore. The Kessel Run from Han Solo, and you got the capture of the Death Star plans in Rogue One. And 2 of those, like the Kessel Run's been talked about a lot in the trilogy when Harrison Ford portrayed Han Solo. I think it's Alden Ehrenreich or something like that. Plays him this one. And this and they talk about that. So it was cool because this was the first time that Disney actually expanded outside of the Skywalker saga, and they looked at 2 things of the lore and what they could make stories of, and both stories made perfect sense, and both events made perfect sense to actually explore. The Kessel Run is iconic, like, you know, the 12 parsecs or whatever, even though that's actually a mission. They equate it as a measurement of speed, but parsecs is actually a measurement of distance, so they misuse it. But and Rogue One, like, everybody talks about, like, how at the start of A New Hope we see Princess Leia and they're looking for the fucking plans for the Death Star or some shit, or she's just
trying to get them to Obi-Wan Kenobi. And
exactly. Like, so it fills in 2 slight little blank spots from the Star Wars lore that have been mentioned many, many times. And I think they did a fantastic job. The more I see Solo, the more I enjoy that movie, man.
Yeah, same, actually. This I have to say, I'm kind of reviewing. And of all the Star Wars, this one feels least like a Star Wars. And I don't mean that as a good or a bad thing. It's merely an observation.
No scrawl in either of these movies either.
Yeah, exactly. And also it kind of taught you can have a lot of fun. You don't need Jedis in it, even though, like, we all kind of go there for lightsaber battles and all that. But you just somebody surviving. I like the gutter rat, you know, like and that's what Solo is. He's the gutter rat. Yeah. But he had charm, he had something about him, he had confidence. Yeah. And so when you're watching it, you just enjoy it, and it fills in so many blanks. And the one thing it did is we find is kind of like flesh him out and show him how iconic his journey to where he got actually was. Yeah. And I thought that was very cool.
It kind of was cool too, because, like, retroactively looked at the information that I had from Harrison Ford's portrayal of Solo, and like, okay, maybe how did he become such a good leader of men? How did he become such a good space commander? How did he get so good at evading the Empire constantly? When you go back and you fill in those blanks with he was a trained soldier, he fucking fought with the Empire, he learned from highly capable criminals and stuff like this, and that's how he became a world-class smuggler. How he's able to evade the Empire and eventually end up joining the rebellion and the Alliance and becoming a leader of men.
And no small amount of dumb luck.
Yeah,
that just kind of like shit goes down and somebody somehow ends up walking out of smoke. And it was him.
Yeah.
But he learned some shit. He absolutely learned. So behind all that chat, like even when he the kind of shootout at the end with Woody Harrelson character whose name escapes me. But even just that, like he had that draw first. Yeah. Just draw first, and of course that comes up later as well. So I don't know, a lot of that stuff gives me goosebumps. I like when they address stuff really, really well. I like when they flesh it out. And I know this was a little bit more silly, and a little bit more goofy, and the card games with like
Sabak.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't know. I when you watch this film and you just try and watch it as being fun and take off that like nerd elitism, but no, and blah in the books or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure because I know there was complaints around it, but I just watched that and kind of went, that was a bit of fun actually. Yeah. And I mean, we got to hear Darth Maul say things, which is also very cool.
Yeah, but like at the time of its production, I think Chris Miller and Phil Lord, the two guys that did they produced Into the Spider-Verse, they did the Lego movie, they did I think 21, 22 Jump Street, Men in Black International, I think as well. They were supposed to have originally do Solo. They made a lot of the movie. The higher ups at Lucasfilm and Disney seemingly saw a cut of the movie and they were like, no. And they pretty much fired him. And then Ron Howard came in. Initially, he was only supposed to finish off filming, but instead they got him to pretty much rework the script and change the movie around in many, many ways. And I think because of that, a lot of people were probably went in and were like, oh, man, this movie's going to be messy. And
studio intervention is something that pisses us off.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not you're better with directed
Spider-Man
by this.
3,
Spider-Man 3 is always the thing that comes to mind. They said they threw as many chefs in the kitchen as they could, and they made a ball of absolute shit, and that's all it was. But this was obviously not that. But again, it does beg the question of what maybe it could have been. Because again, it wasn't the best Star Wars film yet, but I wasn't really judging it by Star Wars films. I was only judging it by entertainment value. Because again, it just felt different. I love the aliens. I love the kind of like the robot that thinks it's in a relationship with
Lando's banging that robot. Dude.
Lando's 100% banging
that robot 100%. He's like, how does it work? He's like, it works.
Look, man, there's something to be said for sass. He's
a robosexual, man.
Robosexual. I love the introduction where she's like protesting against like robot fights. And stuff like that. So some of them, I don't really get what it was that Emilia Clarke's Kira did, where she kind of started like waving her cloak around. Some people ended up dead, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
She was doing some martial arts or some shit that she learned from somebody or some shit.
Some like dark art, like the way in Rogue One we had like he wasn't a Jedi, but he was like a Jedi priest.
Yeah.
And he kind of believed in the Force so much that it kind of flowed through him a bit. And I think she might have been like a dark version of that, maybe. I don't really get it, but maybe when they end up answering to Darth Maul, that inside of that.
She mentions it that it's some form of martial arts or something.
She mentions it, She says it to the robot woman. I don't know. I think when you look back on it and try and just take it outside of Star Wars, edit that out. They'll come for us. They'll come.
I'll get unlimited power.
Don't ever say my address.
123 Fake Street. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But sorry, go on, continue with your point.
But I thought the actual cheeky chappy, I think as well, we don't like seeing Harrison Ford replaced because Harrison Ford was one of a kind.
Putting the smug back in Smuggler.
That's a good title actually. But I thought the guy wasn't trying to steal his thunder, he was just trying to do the job.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And Harrison Ford is just a one of a type, and we grew up on him, so we can't see him replaced. Yeah, and how dare he? But at the same time, I don't know. He's a guy who did a job, and I thought he did a pretty good job.
Yeah, I think he was clever though. He was like, I'm not going to try and imitate Harrison Ford. I'm going to give you a different Solo.
Yes,
because this is a Solo that's very different in terms of what he's experienced in his life. He's still very much wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and still having fun with him.
Absolutely.
When we catch back up with him as Harrison Ford, like he's like, He's obviously been through the shit, has been living through Empire rule for longer. He's been on the run constantly. He's more worn down. He's just more like it's not more set.
He didn't have much time for bullshit.
Yeah.
Even when you met him, you know, that kind of way. He was like, no way, kid, I can't do this. I got blah, blah, blah. And he was always that kind of like aloof.
Yeah.
But behind it, there was actually something there, as in like shit had gone down.
He's just fed up.
Friends had turned on him.
Yeah.
Like, with the exception of Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Exception of Chewbacca. There was just nothing.
Did you see that meme? Harrison Ford was in that movie, the Wild, what was it called? Into the Wild or some shit like that, or the Wild Country or some shit, where him and a dog, a CGI dog, go into the wild, and it's fucking amazing. But it's like when you come down from your acid trip and you realize you were never traveling through space, and it's just Harrison Ford. That's fucking awesome. But yeah, like one thing I liked about this is that, like as you said, it didn't go like, oh, we need to start sticking in Jedi left, right, and center. It followed up perfectly from what happened with Order 66, and we just covered the original prequel trilogy or the prequel trilogy. That we saw the decimation of Jedi, we saw the decimation of the Senate, and how it became the Empire. And this is like the burgeoning world of the new galaxy, and the way it looks and the way it's reacted to this like overthrow of the Senate, this dictatorship
from the street. Like this is what it looks like on the street level for the everyday dude, and not the huge galactic destroyer.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's, you know, and that was what was kind of cool about it. This was
it was like an action heist movie, but like at the same time, it set itself perfectly up in the world that was created from the prequel trilogy. I thought that's why I said to you about watching it in this order, that like the best thing to do is to watch in the event in the order of the events, how they occurred in the world, and you get to really see the fullness.
Because there's nothing less chronological than Star Wars.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah,
nothing.
Seemingly there's a cut out there of the. I think it might be in the original 6 at the time, the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy before the Disney 3 came out. It's called the Cleaver Cut or some shit, and some dude put it together, some person put it together. The Phantom Menace is all like a dream sequence or some shit. The way they put it together is like, I've never watched it, but seemingly like Luke's, they have it like a New Hope. They have it all fucking weird. They have it like a Clone Wars, Revenge of the Sith, and then they have like New Hope, and then they have like Phantom Menace is all a dream sequence, and then they go on with Empire Strikes Back and Return.
So like 2, 3, 4, one is a dream sequence, 5.
It's insane.
I mean, we, because you know, we did that on a previous podcast, and we are talking about like the Jar Jar, where he's like Mr. Magooing a war, and he's destroying everybody. Like he's like, you know, a Darth Vader himself couldn't have taken out as many soldiers as him. You know?
Everyone said he should have been a Sith Lord.
Yeah,
Jar Jar would have been amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Misa have unlimited power, Misa do.
Something dark side.
Do it. Misa think you should kill him. Do it. But
I do think when I was watching this that it didn't. Like, it wasn't a perfect movie, but I don't think it. But you know, if you ever watch a movie and think it's not trying to be a perfect movie?
Yeah, it was just trying.
You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't trying. Yeah, it knew it wasn't making like something that for the age is absolutely terrific, but it was trying to have fun with it. I thought visually, I thought they had so much fun. I loved the kind of the retro 70s vibe that some of the racers and stuff that they were in actually had.
You kind of have to, though. You're locked in with the technology from the original trilogy, because you can't, if you're doing a prequel, you can't do technology that's more advanced. You know
I mean? That's true. But even just the look, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I thought that, you know, I like the fact that there was lots of like when they were gambling, it was just completely like Lando and Han are like the only two humans at the time.
Han, actually.
To see the part where there was somebody singing, and I thought it was a black lady with a microphone in her mouth, but it wasn't. It was just like alien head in a jar that was just beside her, and it was singing in the lounge. And I was like, okay, look, I love when they do shit like that. Like, I love just kind of going, we could do better. You know?
Do you remember the cantina in the original trilogy? Hey, play that same song again that you only know. Remember that? Remember that was in Family Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, anybody got any questions?
My favorite thing here is like where Brian looks at not the camera because it's animation, but he just looks out and he goes, "Why is Lando wearing Han's clothes in this scene? Seriously, look at the movie. He's wearing Han's clothes."
Oh man, that Star Wars Family Guy trilogy is fucking incredible, man.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was great.
so
And they're not, the parodies are hit and miss, as everybody knows, but they were great.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind seeing some parodies of these, but I don't know. They don't hit like mainstay, main canon. But I don't know. Like, Solo is definitely a film worth seeing.
Oh no, it's 100% worth seeing because, like, it as I said, it's clever storytelling. It looked at all the things we always talk about, the franchise and how you should know what the franchise you're operating within, and the rules that are set out by your predecessors. And Solo does that brilliantly. It looks at all the information, like I mentioned, about Han Solo that was revealed to us in the original trilogy, and it fucking went backward and wrote a story from it. The Kessel Run, that's spoken about. How fast
actually see it,
yeah,
actually see
you know
it.
what I mean?
Like the thing that he was iconic for. They say you did this, you say you did this, and then seeing him actually do it in the Millennium Falcon, no less. And then, winning the Millennium Falcon using the trick that he had fallen for in the first round of cards. Some of that stuff was just fun, man.
Yeah.
And like the stuff you've imagined if you were a Star Wars fan growing up.
Yeah, and you got to see Chewie.
And you got to see him meet Chewie. That's so cool.
Chewbacca, that's a lot. I'm not calling you that all the time. Man, I laughed my ass off. Like, the first time I seen this movie, because I didn't get to see it in the cinema, I missed out. And when it came out on DVD,
and that's not like you.
Yeah, like
it's not like, you do go see these things.
Yeah, like it's of the modern Star Wars movies, it's the only one I haven't seen in the cinema, and that's no true fault of its own. I think I might be like fucking sick or some shit at the time, because I think there's a couple of movies there where I missed in a short space of time where I was sick and I had a fucked up knee or some shit, and so I went to I caught it when it came out, and I was like, why are people shitting on this fucking movie? I laughed my ass off. I was like, this is fun. I was like, of course it's not going to be Harrison Ford. They didn't cast Harrison Ford. You're not going to get Harrison Ford. It's just one of those things. Look outside of his portrayal of Han Solo and look at the story. Like, the story is fucking cool. Like, you get to see, as we talk about the Kessel Run, you get to see his integration into the Empire. You get to see him fighting in the Empire. You get to hear a bit more about his backstory, about Kira. You get to see Woody Harrelson, the kind of people he ran with, and the people that crafted and created the legend that is Han Solo going into A New Hope, because he's already somewhat legendary in the realms of his smuggling abilities. And the Millennium Falcon and how he won that. You just spoke about the Game of Sabacc against Lando Calrissian.
Sabacc, yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? So I just thought it was really clever world building whilst using information that is already provided to you. Like, I think that's what Disney probably went back and they probably looked at the tone of the movie and they're probably like, we don't need it to be too jokey. Because maybe that's why Chris Miller and Phil Lord were lifted from the project, because they're very much comedic directors, and a lot of times.
Yeah.
So maybe they were.
And Han lends himself to that.
Han, man. His name's Han. Han. He even correct.
Han Solo.
Han Solo.
But he does lend himself to that more than any of the other characters do.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but he kind of like has the gallows humor about it and a little bit of womanizing about it, and eye on the prize kind of character. So
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah.
I love that way. That's in every Star Wars movie. I fucking love that, man. But like, I just thought, like, that it kind of focused on one character that we all know and love and gave us a brand new interpretation of him. And it did a really decent job of doing it, which we often don't see, like, you know what I mean? Because I think they could have, there's room here to even make one more Solo movie if you wanted to. But I don't see it happening. I think like Disney now are really reshuffling the pack when it comes to Star Wars, and they're really going to be like careful in how they make their next feature release. But I'd love to see more of these Star Wars stories, like the way we got with Solo and the way we got with Rogue One, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. That it fills in little gaps in the universe, and they're there, and they can be standalones, and they don't have to touch anything else, while it's also enhancing other things, if you know what I mean. Like, because they're not going to affect the things that already happened, but they can actually enhance our understanding of how the events occurred. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's what interquel, if for the word I just fucking learned before we recorded. Yeah. I think that is actually the perfect way of fleshing out a universe that's pre-existing, while it's not altering the events, but also you can enhance them. And I thought that's what Solo did. Like, it showed us like what made Han Solo he is and stuff, but we got to see the actually his abilities as a person in like combat and fucking as a smuggler. Like the train sequence, I thought was fucking awesome.
Train sequence was actually awesome. Really, really, really was. And I always think with these standalones as well, and this kind of you can attach to Rogue One even more so, but that there was because these characters, I mean, of course, Han is massive and iconic and goes on to be in these films. So Han was safe as houses, we knew that. But there's so much that you could characters that no matter how much you build them up, you can just get rid of them.
Yeah, great point.
And Rogue One did it way more. I mean, way more there. And they always had it, you know, we've seen Obi-Wan get struck down. We've seen Qui-Gon Jinn get struck down. Like they put tragedy in there. But this one, with Rogue One again, maybe a little bit more. They were just like Tandy Newton's character just blowing herself up on the bridge.
Yeah, you like her to shit.
Yeah, you like her. Exactly. You like her tough shit. And even when you know Woody kind of betrays Han and stuff like that, and he gets killed, you still felt bad for him because that was his deal. He was like a little bit whoa, a little bit way, you know, as used to say in the Fast Show. But you know, you just felt for these characters, but they didn't need to build them. They didn't need to worry about the franchise going forward. Because they were just going to try and slot this into an already existing franchise.
Exactly.
The characters were just roadkill.
Yeah, kind of like the original, the prequel trilogy, where they're like, okay, Revenge of the Sith. Who lives to the original trilogy? Okay, check. Everybody, you're all going to die.
Mace Windu.
Yeah, Mace Windu gone. Out the fucking window. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah, every other Jedi gone. Or because Order 66, everybody knows about.
Iconic.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
those films got something wrong, but Order 66, they did not get it wrong.
Take out for like all the bad stuff out Phantom Menace, and I'm telling you that prequel trilogy pisses all over the Disney trilogy. Like, over.
Phantom Menace is...
Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith are excellent movies in my opinion. Excellent Star Wars movies. They build and they do so much. Like and that's what this movie.
Well, does. It was Darth Vader's transcendence that just kind of it lost me. But to actually talk a little bit about Rogue One, where this kind of stands as well, the one thing I think it had in common as well, it kind of had the street rat kind of thing as well. Yeah. It had that person who wasn't born to like huge destiny necessarily. Not somebody, not the chosen one, not the one that's been prophesized for 1,000 years. That's going to bring balance to the Force. Ergo bring balance to the galaxy.
Like Anakin pretty much became like Jesus. Like pretty much.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, midichlorians got all up in his mother. His mother was banging around. When she came home, she was like, "Oh, guess what? I'm prejudiced. What happened? The Force." No, come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
Imagine starting a religion and being somebody lying about getting pregnant.
Yeah,
imagine that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
Never catch on.
Oh, we're being crazy right now.
To be honest with you, man, you're weighing up things here that will never catch on. Like, I can never imagine anybody would be foolish enough to follow belief system that has what you're saying that it's born by a natural birth. Oh, weird. Nah, can't see it happening. Checking my notes here. Too fantastical for my but
again, the gutter rat thing, you know, like what she actually went through. Yeah, she's a survivor, but she wasn't. She was brave as balls. She was an excellent character. Yeah, but she was not the chosen one. But she just knew that something needed to be done.
The right one.
Yeah, and you know, when the whole thing in that film where they're talking like, we need to do this is our only moment, we're going to lose, they're going to build it, it's going to be done if we don't strike now, and the council kind of votes against it, and she goes anyway, and it's basically a suicide mission. And I remember the first time I watched that, I remember thinking to myself, oh, you know what this actually is a suicide mission.
Oh yeah,
that made sense to me.
Yeah,
because I have no idea who these people are. I just know that the plans end up in C-3PO, blah, blah, blah. They find their way to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the film takes off. So I was like, oh, my God, this is going to
Ben
be...
Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi.
Ben Kenobi. Oh, I think I know. I don't know an Obi-Wan, but I know Ben Kenobi. You might know him. Maybe they're related.
Maybe so. But I remember... But you know what? It was that fucking robot. The one that made me feel most sad.
K2,
I don't know why.
In Rogue One.
The one the reprogrammed Empire droid.
Yeah, K2.
I was just like, no. Oh no, that dude's got a grenade thrown into the hull. That's pretty sad, I guess.
Riz Ahmed.
I was like, that sucks.
Yeah, that's what the to kind of wrap up in Solo and to continue moving on to Rogue One, but that's what the two movies did very well, as you said, that kind of street rat thing. One thing we loved about Daredevil and shows like that, Jessica Jones, maybe a little less than Luke Cage, and Iron Fist can go fist himself, but like I just think that when you see these huge events, we know of these huge events like the Battle of New York and Avengers, or the massive war we got to see in the prequel, and we know what's about to happen in the original series that's it's following these movies in terms of the chronological order of events, that you get to see these everyday people, as you said, they're not the chosen one, they might be the right one, as I alluded to that. They sit them in this way, and you get to see how the world that these huge events created, and how normal people, in air quotes, because they're kind of above normal or whatever in terms of what they can accomplish, but like how they react to these events and how they have, like, the world is taking shape. And we see that in Solo, the growing influence of the Empire and how that's spread out. And we get to see at the end with Kira and Darth Maul, and how we find out she's a part of the dark side. And then that moves on into Rogue One and shit, that you get to see that the world now is more so conquered by the Empire. But at the same time, because the world is developed more, there's also more of a resistance. There's an alliance, there's this rebellion force that's built up and that's going against the Empire. And that's what I love about these two movies, that the way they fill in that gap, how from the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy in terms of the chronological events, that it shows us the expansion of not just the Empire and the growth and the ascension of it, but also the growth and expansion of the rebellion force. And that's what Rogue One did beautifully for me, that it actually showed us aerial dogfights. It showed us intergalactical fucking war. It showed us real strengths of the rebels and the alliance. And the Jedi, once again, aren't the backbone of the movie in the way they are for the other 9, the Skywalker saga, that we get to see what the rebellion actually are made of and what they've been doing.
And how crushed underfoot they are.
Yeah,
like
but
just
the fight
how
they were able to put up is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. You had Saw Gerrera, and you had
Forrest Whitaker is the most Forrest Whitaker ever in this movie.
Forrest Whitaker is so Forrest Whitaker in this movie.
God. Oh, he's so good. This fucking
you know what? I'm going to say something controversial here. But Forrest Whitaker can only kind of ever really plays Forrest Whitaker, but Forrest Whitaker himself is such a captivating character.
Yeah.
That's all we want from Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah,
I'm just good with Forrest Whitaker being Forrest Whitaker. He's just, I don't know, there's just somebody.
So Guerrera.
Yeah, I just feel like, and he goes down with his city and all that kind of stuff, and there's a lot of that. What a scene, absolutely. But there's so much of that because the K2, everybody just sacrificed himself, and Donnie Yen, Chirrut, I have the cast here. Nice. But when he just walks, when like the Jedis walk up and it's basically just special effects, and you just have a lightsaber kind of thing, and you wave that around, and we're just going to make sure that the lasers hit here, and here, because you're a Jedi. The lasers mean nothing. It's actually just a bit of cardio. But this guy actually just had faith. Yeah, and that was so kind of a beautiful moment where he just starts walking, even though he's blind.
Do you think he was a Jedi, dude?
No, I think he was just such a true believer. You know what I mean? Like, I think he was so open to it. Yeah. As somebody who wasn't actually chosen by it or touched
almost
by it.
like Buddhism or something.
Exactly. Yeah. He was so open
I'm
to
one
it.
With everything.
Exactly.
And the Force is everything. Fuck midichlorians.
Yeah, but that is it. It's exactly it. He wasn't chosen by it, but he believed in it. And when he gets up and he walks towards the transmit, that's the thing about this. I was like, everyone kept dying trying to transmit things, I think.
Yeah. That's what most of the movie is.
Just felt like most of the movie was people being killed, transmitting things, pulling levers and stuff. Yeah. Like, you're in the grenade. Oh no, pull lever. Shot the bitch robot, but like push buttons. It was an awful lot of that. But also it fixed one big thing. Galen, Jin's father, he built thank you. He built a weakness into the Death Star, which is genius because we've been doing the jokes for 30 years. There you go,
working off information that's already pre-provided.
Exactly. He says, I built a weakness into it.
Yeah, it caused a chain reaction within the core.
And they didn't even know it. And I thought that was great because it kind of fit. It worked
perfect
because they had a character that was obviously an amazing engineer who was forced to build it.
Yeah,
but because he's the only one smart enough to do it. Well, unfortunately, that's what happens when you give access to Tony Stark in a cave.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He'll still come up with something.
Yeah.
you might have the better of him for a period of time, but he'll come up with something. And I remember just thinking, well, I have to admit that actually addresses that quite nicely.
Yeah, it was very well done. And they were clever because they were like, now we're going to give you the information. We're going to let people find out about the information, but we're going to also kill everybody that has the information about the weakness, except for the good guys that need it. You know what I mean? Because Tom Middleton is not, or Tom Middleton, what's that dude's name?
Hiddleston.
No, it's the dude from Bloodline. The dude
who plays who in this?
He's like what's his name? Kraken? No? Crackle?
General
Craddock, is it?
No, I have no idea who you're talking about. Darth Vader, General Dodd, General Mayor, Captain Patero.
Yeah, well, what's his name? Rogue One. Is it not General Craddock? No.
General Dodd.
Krennic. Sorry.
There
Orson
you go.
Krennic. Ben Mendelsohn. But like even he finds out about the weakness later on in the movie, and he gets killed almost instantaneously after that by Cassian Andor.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah. And also that's the thing. Like there was so many spinning wheels. It even had some like betrayal between some of the like Empire guys trying to take over, the Death Star and stuff like that. And I mean, it threw a lot of character building into a very short film. It kind of felt like you knew what everyone was about.
Yeah.
By the time it played out, and it was 2.25 hours, which when you think about like watching a series and how long it takes to build characters, you know what I mean? Like an 8-episode series would be a short series.
Yeah. Nowadays,
especially, but you can still be talking like 45-50 minutes a pop. You'd still be talking over 6 hours.
Yeah.
This was 2.25, and it did a really good job.
Yeah.
Everyone felt like they were alive. Everyone felt like they were a character with actual.
One thing I loved about it is the show.
This pulled on the heartstrings. Like I thought that this gave me the feels.
Oh, for sure. This had the most dramatic beats of nearly maybe any Star Wars movie. Like how successful it was actually hitting them with it. Like, but what I liked about it was it showed you how not black and white the world of the rebellion is. That like there is like people that are like Cassian Andor that was sent in. He was like supposed to like execute Galen and stuff like that. And it's not like a Jedi would go in and go, oh, my father believed me, trusted me. And it's not like the very black and white thing where the Jedi were like, oh, I can sense that you're not telling me any lies or whatever, some shit, and go in and just rescue Galen Erso and be all like heroic and shit. That I thought was really cool that they went in there. He was set about killing Galen Erso. And Galen Erso doesn't get rescued. He ends up like they don't get the signal out in time, or they're like, oh, we have to call off the strike or the airstrike or whatever. And he ends up getting blown up by the rebellion, not by the Empire. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was really, really cool that it's not as much black and white where like Obi-Wan Kenobi's heroicness in the prequel trilogy where he's just coming in and saving people left, right, and center.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that. It was people going in, and because they're in the middle of a very messy war, an intergalactic war, like fucking war at a scale that we can never even imagine, that people will get killed, even good people in the wrong times, even with the best intentions. Yeah. And that's what I loved about it, that there was real stakes in this movie that people.
But that's it. When was Cassian that was killed by the grenade, or was it Bodhi or whoever it was?
Bodhi.
Yeah, Bodhi. And I remember just thinking it was such a glib thing for a Star Wars. It wasn't this like huge scene. It was just somebody like running by and just like tossed a grenade and pissed off. And that's what war is. And you said
killed by sending a transmission as well.
Yeah, but that's what this film was. Just send transmission and die. That's what this film was about. It couldn't just be one person sending one transmission. And this is like, the intergalactic flight is a thing. Like,
I love the way they
send the fucking transmission.
I love the way they kept leaning on it. It was like, oh, it's the size of the data files. That's the size of the data files. No, we don't have good Wi-Fi over here.
We don't have good Wi-Fi. That's what it boiled down to.
Damn,
and they can say what they want. That's why they boiled down to. But I remember thinking, like,
come on, dude.
You said messy war. You said messy war. It actually was. They're never messy wars. It's always like, and now we're like, now we're invading the Death Star, and fair enough, there's death, and all this, but it's like organized armies fighting on this huge scale. Yeah. But I remember this. It was like the dirt was being blown up. People were being shot to shit.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean. And actually had, for a Star Wars, I had that gritty, absolute horror that is war.
Like the fight, the battle on Scarf is fucking incredible. Like
incredible.
Yeah, like remember all the X-Wings come in right before the shield wall or whatever it's called comes up, and they come in and we actually get to see them in proper dogfights, and we actually get to see how the rebellion will deploy forces, and we also get to see how the Empire deploy forces and how they would actually like look at a beach landing and how they would try and take enemy territory and how they would attack a military installation and shit like that, because it's not a load of Jedi's coming in flipping and somersaulting and cutting guys in half with fucking lightsabers and flinging them across the way using the Force. You got normal dudes coming in there with blasters, and it's just a matter of will. And that's what I love about it. It was very World War II to me, or something like reminded me very much of the Pacific theater in terms of like, have you ever seen the Pacific, like the type of warfare that occurred on small islands and small installations there and small airstrips and landing strips? That's what the battle in Scarf reminded me of. Reminded me of a World War II Pacific kind of battle, where instead of you had these battleships in the ocean, you had these massive destroyers and battleships in space, and you still had these kind of small sets of infantry and fighter planes and stuff fighting close on the land, like down in Scarf, the ones that were trapped inside the shield wall. And I just loved that it gave me this feel of like an old school naval battle in the Pacific during the 40s. You know what I mean? It was awesome.
Yeah, I did actually have that kind of like gritty relatability that you kind of have around real life kind of shit. And if you're able to actually apply that to something as absolutely out there as a galaxy far away, a long time ago, you know what I mean? But if you're able to actually superimpose that in some sort of way, which it just did.
Yeah.
And what it did was by making us care and giving us.
I was just going to say to enforce your point, look at the Empire. It's just based off the Nazis, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, the guise of order.
Yeah.
The guise of lifting up the people, but like, there's going to be a price.
Stormtroopers,
like,
stormtroopers.
100%, 100%.
Look at the color scheme: blacks, reds, whites. That's the Nazi colors,
No, of course, no, it was very much that. But I remember this of all of them. This was definitely of all the films. I mean the 9. And these 2 standalones with a total of 11. This one gave me the feels more than any of this. I Am Your Father, any of that. This one gave me the feels because these people went on a suicide mission and they gave it all up.
Yeah,
and they kind of as you realize as the story gets told from that point onwards, like Ben Kenobi, nobody ever speaks their names.
Exactly.
They were just, and that's another awful thing about war.
Yeah,
there's so many people go and do. There's so many people that don't make it off the ship when it lands on the beach, and they're just as big a heroes as the person who makes it up and fights off the enemy, because they're just not as lucky. And that's how horrible war actually is.
Or how many people went into these incredible acts of heroism that shaped the world that we live in, and we have no idea who they are.
No idea who they are, and that resonated with me.
Like they're a star on the wall or something, the CIA or Langley in places like these.
Exactly. Yeah. And I just thought that was beautiful. I just thought that was kind of like, that was a Star Wars film with gritty realism in such a silly kind of set, obviously with like droids that you're making me care about, and a priest.
I love the droids angle. I love the way that they have new droids in Han Solo, in Solo and in Rogue One. I love that we didn't get to see fucking C-3PO and R2-D2 rolled out in some other format again.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. They were more, and in both films, you kind of had the sassy. Yeah, that's the word I use, and so I'm sticking with.
She even had the droid in that. I'll get her name up in a second. But she even had the sad ending because she gave up her life to make the Millennium Falcon even better. Do you remember?
Yeah. She became incorporated. And Lando was definitely a little bit into
her. Inside her, he was like, he's the USB stick, and she had plenty of ports. Solo droid.
Phoebe Waller. It was Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Oh, really? Was it?
It was Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
L337, her name was.
Yeah, it was Phoebe Waller-Bridge. That's brilliant. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But like that's what 2 movies did actually really, really well. They made us give a fuck about not just the droids, but the characters in general. Like
but it's not the droid becomes irrelevant because you say a character.
Yeah,
exactly. You know what I mean? Like it's character, because then it doesn't matter if it's a Chewbacca, and it doesn't matter if it just does not matter. It's all it is the character, and they did that so well.
Yeah, like in this, what they did was like they actually built up the characters pretty quickly. they set you in, set the stalls out. Like they're like, okay, Jyn Erso, her father's Galen. He designed the Death Star. He's taken away. This is her life now. Big time jump, and he gets kind of stuck into. That's what this is like. Excuse me. They fleshed out the characters, but they did it at a nice pace. As you said, it's like throwing you just over. It's like 2 hours and 13 minutes long or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Yeah.
And they covered so much ground, like with the rebellion, with the alliance, with Galen Erso, with Jyn, with Sal Guerrera, Cassian Andor, K2.
And that's not to speak of the overall thing of how the fuck did they get the plans?
Yeah, exactly. I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Man. Like this look at the
pacing. Was it? It's pacing. The strongest thing about this, it actually told so
well done. I love this fucking
Rogue One, a Star Wars story is the name of the film, and that's what it was. It was a Star Wars story, and a fucking great one. Yeah, it's one of the better films of the whole 100%. Thing. I'm not saying it's Return of the Jedi. But it might be my number 2 or my number 3.
Oh, it's definitely in the top 3, I'd say, in terms of quality of the movie itself.
Quality of the movie itself. Yeah. And let's just say that, because, you could say, in quality of the characters, and quality of the pacing, and quality. What it comes down to is you walk out the movie, the cinema or whatever, and you kind of go, how did you enjoy that? And I go, well, and not just that, whatever your first reaction is, because that's what a movie is. You can break it down as much as you want. How entertained were you? That one gave me the feels, and that one made me... kind of like it darkened the Empire for me, because there was times where you have the stormtroopers that couldn't hit the side of a barn with a barn seeking missile, and there was that kind of goofy element to it sometimes when you look back at it. And this one, some of the cool things like Order 66 and stuff, where you just kind of like, there it is, there's the dark side of it, there's the genocidal,
the literal dark side.
The literal dark side of it, the genocidal horror of it. And this one shot again, we've touched on it, shot from characters who weren't able to just see slightly into the future and use laser swords and jump to terrific heights and see in the future and all these sorts of other amazing things that would make all of that horror an awful lot less scary. An awful lot less scary. When you watch the original prequel, sorry, the original. Yeah, the prequel. Sorry, the 1, 2, and 3.
I always say it mixed up as well. Yeah.
But do you remember, when Obi-Wan Kenobi is there and he's going to take on General Grievous and stuff? There's a certain point to that despite what's going on, he's kind of having fun.
Yeah, because remember we spoke about how it's throughout the trilogy, Obi-Wan's just like, holy shit, I'm actually awesome.
Yeah, that's it. Grievous comes out and he takes out all these arms come out and he gets 4 lightsabers and said he's been trained by Count Dooku and stuff like that. And Ben, Ben is just like, oh, cool.
And
this might be a bit of crack.
And he's got 4 lightsabers, so he's definitely killed 4 Jedi. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there you go. So he's got 4 lightsabers, and then you're just kind of thinking, well, if you were Jyn Erso in this scenario, you would despite all she accomplished and how badass she was, it makes her more badass, because in that scenario she'd be dog food. Yeah, she doesn't, it's not like she had this. It's not like she was Superman and she was able to just fight it. It wasn't. And that's what we are. You can put yourself in that, no matter how crazy the circuit. It doesn't matter if it's Lord of the Rings. It doesn't matter what it is, because you'd put yourself in that as you are, and that's like an actual vulnerable person. You know?
Man, one thing I love about Rogue One, the subtitle should be just called "Fuck Destiny," because that's what the whole movie was. Just I'm not supposed to be going here. Fuck you. I'm going to do this. If you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it. That's what Jyn Erso was, though. That's what her whole character was, and that's who she was able to corral. The likes of Cassian Andor and K2. Remember, K2's like, I'm going to go with you, Jyn, because Cassian said I had to. But one thing I loved about it, she's like, the whole way through the movie, she's like, I'm not the right person for the job. I'm not. Oh, let me prove you wrong, because I'm going to. And then she's like, fuck destiny. I don't need to be a chosen one. I don't need to be anything.
That's it.
Yeah.
Not prophesized.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it, because somebody has to do it. And that's what Jyn Erso was. I thought she's such an awesome character, because she just literally is like, oh, the odds are against me, are they? Cool beans. I'm going to go get a ship now. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we're all going to die. Yeah, cool. I'm going to go get a ship now, I said. I said a good day, sir. I said good day, But that's what I loved about it. It was like the beautiful ragtag. It's like the definition of a ragtag group. You coming in,
big time. And even the misfits, they're all, they were the enemies turned, mutual. what's the word, like
the enemy, the friend of my enemy, or the
that kind of scenario. Yeah.
But like, no, I just love that. Like the characters, you actually warm to them, you're related to them, because me or you, as you say, we can't imagine being some sort of messianic fucking like next coming. Like we can't imagine being these guys that can float through the air and do somersaults and do these all sorts of things and control our minds and fucking have these lightsabers and do these battles and wield against fucking the most powerful creatures that maybe the galaxy's ever known in terms of combat. But we could imagine getting on a ship with 6 of our friends, picking up a blaster, going into an installation and trying to get our hands on a fucking hard drive so we can send something out, because that is relatable. It's something you could do. It's something people have done many times in wars, that they've got into an enemy place, they've got the information, and it's more relatable as a story in terms of you could really place yourself on that Rogue One ship and go, all right, cool, we can kind of go in there. It's a suicide mission, whatever, but what a fucking way to go, that kind of thing. Like,
like I don't think I can do this, but I don't think I can not try.
Yeah, if you're doing it, I'm doing it, that kind of thing. Like, I care, like, I respect you enough as a human, think that if you're willing to make the sacrifice, I should also be willing to make the sacrifice. If we get out there, good. If we don't, at least we get the information out there and the resistance lives on, because the tyrannical rule of the Empire has to end and somebody has to be the one to put the fucking life on the line. And that's what Rogue One was, that like you had a bunch of misfits that, as you say, never get mentioned again. We never hear about Jyn Erso, we never hear about Cassian Andor, because, they're retroactively out of the story, but it fits beautifully to the story that we don't hear about them again.
Exactly. It fits. Exactly. It fits. And it's not even that, like, Princess Leia or something is forgotten about them, is in that everything that actually went down went with them when the Death Star just destroyed, like with a relatively low blast, just destroyed everything. All they know is the transmission met it. That's it. That's end of story. The transmission met it. And
man, that battle in Scarif, though, like, I just keep going on about it, but like the other day when I was watching it, man, like the last 20 minutes I was just fucking wide-eyed, man. Like I love the battle scene there. You get to actually see a real fucking dirty dogfight in space. They kind of familiarize you with a few of the leaders, like they always do in the X-Wings, gold leader, red leader, blue leader, and then you get to see them all getting killed one at a time, so you actually have some feels. And I think that's clever storytelling. And you talk about I keep calling him General Radish, but it's General Radis, but it's in the Hammerhead Shark dude. And like when they're fucking sent, it's like ready the Hammerhead Corvette. But remember that? But like, I love that. Like, and it's like when they're ramming in, you get to actually see the military might of the rebellion. And I love that shit where a lot of the intergalactic fucking dogfights and shit. It's like I love the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, I think it was called, where you're in a spaceship a lot and you're fucking doing a lot of that kind of shit. It's awesome. But like, we didn't get to see enough of that, I think, in some of the Star Wars movies. Like, look at fucking Last Jedi. It's the fucking slowest ass chase sequence ever for 2 hours. Like, why couldn't that just been a massive, ridiculous, epic fucking war, constantly just jumping through space? You make a jump, you do another dogfight, kind of like fucking Cylons and fucking Battlestar Galactica. Keep you on edge instead of this slow, meager crawl while you tell your main story. It's fucking lazy ass storytelling, Rian Johnson. But that's what I love.
Balls, Rian Johnson.
Yeah, but I just love the strength of this movie, both aside from the character building it did, was the fucking climax, man. Is one of the best climaxes, I think, in any Star Wars movie. Just the Battle of Scarif, the way it told those two exist, like the two kind of convergent storylines. The one in space, the fleet trying to hold off the Empire fleet, while the people down in Scarif were trying to get the message up, and it just fucking played the balancing act beautifully. And then you get the message out, you think, oh, Savage, you got the message out, it's gonna be amazing. All of a sudden, Darth Vader fucking comes in, and some of the ships that are jumping now. Like, come on, talk about
the shadow. Sorry, shadow. I said I meant to say smoke.
Yeah,
and through it, there is that fucking and you kind of go,
prepare a boarding party. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
yes, my lord.
And oh god,
yes, Lord Vader.
Yeah, exactly. And he just cuts bitches down, but one ship manages to escape.
Man, let me talk to you about one thing. How come it takes him so long to hand that information through the door? Like, he waited till he was the last guy alive.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like.
Not until I can't possibly hand it through and stay alive.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, just in case you need me. It's like, dude, They all literally just sacrificed their lives. Everybody's sacrificing their lives to get
Everyone's dead.
Everybody's dead. Like seriously, dude. Like thousands of all your friends, your fucking brothers in arms have all just died to get this fucking floppy disk, which is kind of weird, to you, and to get this to Princess Leia. And this motherfucker takes an age while Darth Vader is scything down motherfuckers behind him. He's just like, zoom, zoom. And the dude's like, open the door. And I'm like, straight. And the guy's never says to give me the fucking card. Man, if I was in that situation, I'm like, dude, hand me the fucking information. I'll try to get the door open. If I can't, at least Darth Vader's not going to get the information, which I think is the priority here, yeah?
Yeah, oh, fuck
nameless other guy. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even have a name, dude. I know my worth. You know what I mean? Like, so.
I have a bad feeling about tertiary.
But like everything about the fucking battle, man, leading up to the Darth Vader boarding party, we get to see Darth Vader in his prime as well, which like fitted perfectly so much in when we got to see the creation of Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith, to actually see him in his prime now 2 movies over in this kind of chronological order that we're watching him in. And I think it just slots him beautifully, like, you know. The whole climax for me, man, just I thought was some of the best fucking Star Wars storytelling that's been done so far. But one thing these two movies have, man, in common before we get the fuck out of here is that they kind of not introduce, but they touch upon a lot of iconic characters. Like we're talking about Han Solo, Chewbacca. We talk about fucking Princess Leia makes an appearance. We get to see is it General Tarkin or some shit? That other guy, the dude from the original trilogy that they brought back in through CGI. We get to see him. We get to see like fucking even the Death Star, like Darth Vader again. Like for you, like what was the biggest moment of like fan service you thought hit you the best when you get to see the introduction of how Chewie met Han? We get to see Lando Calrissian and how he met Han. We get to see Darth Vader in his prime, Leia, all this shit. Talk to me.
I think if you're going to put it over the 2 films, and I know it's kind of like just jumping back on something we were a second ago, but I remember that silence before we saw the red lightsaber.
Oh my
God, I just remember, and even like you see him like butcher everyone, buck laser, all that good Jedi stuff. None of that was as good as just seeing the red lightsaber, and you just kind of went, "Oh my God!"
Terrified you'd be.
It's Vader.
Yeah,
and this isn't a scene with like, Luke or anything like this. This is just a bunch of fucking dudes with blasters who might as well have nothing.
Shitty
in fact, you'd be better off being unarmed because all you're doing is shooting yourself.
Yeah, I would just shoot myself.
Oh yeah, no, I'd shoot myself definitely.
Yeah.
Just shoot myself.
Yeah,
but I just thought, oh God, like it's.
Imagine how terrified you'd be, locked in a corridor with the most powerful Jedi that's ever lived. Imagine how terrifying that would be.
Oh God, yeah.
And you're just a dude. Like your name is Dude Number 7. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine how terrifying it'd be.
Yeah, dude numbers. I have a bad feeling about guy number 7.
One thing being on Mustafar and you're fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi and you're going up against Anakin, because Obi, I'm sure, was 80% sure he was going to kill that dude, and he pretty much did. You know what I mean? He's just like the whole way through it, he's pretty much like, Anakin, don't do this, because, you know, eventually I will cut your legs and arm off.
Yeah, like that is how this plays out.
Yeah, you're a Skywalker, dude. You already got one arm cut off. I will finish the set. You know what I mean? Like, because all the way through that trilogy, we've seen how amazing Obi-Wan was. So we knew when we got the Mustafar that he was going to fuck Anakin up. But imagine being Dude Number 7. You're locked in this corridor, and all of a sudden, boarding parties coming. You know that's bad enough. But then all of a sudden, you see the fucking smoke like you described, and then all of a sudden, you see, zoom, and it's the fucking that red stream.
Oh,
shit!
It's just death. It's absolute certain death. I mean, that's
Darth Vader, more like Death Vader. There's a metal band right there.
Death Vader. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But,
absolutely right.
Yeah, I just think it did so much so well. But like, is that the most like? Is that your favorite in terms of fan service over the?
I think so. I also like. I mean, again, I touched upon it when they fixed the whole like you build this planet killing machine, but like if somebody drops like a grenade of some description down one vent, it just the whole thing. It's like moon sized as well. I'd like to point out, so it wouldn't just be like the explosion; it would cause a chain reaction that will blow up absolutely everything. That seems a bit stupid to me.
Launch an attack, single reactor.
Yeah, but it turns out that the designer was like forced, and so he himself knows that this would happen. I remember just thinking, like, thank you, because that was such a silly thing for so long.
Yeah,
and it was so easily explained away by just having somebody, a genius, forced to do something terrible. Yeah. Which also is a thing that happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
many times in World War II that happens.
Yeah, man, do this or this.
Do you ever hear about that dude, side note, that created cyanide gas, no mustard gas? He also created like a way of cultivating crops that ended up like feeding billions of people around the world, but he also killed millions of people in World War One by the cyanide gas or something he invented. Isn't that fucked up? Like, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, even though he's killed, like the weighing up of that motherfucker is so weird. But sorry, back to your point.
Yeah, sorry, you threw me off. What was my point?
I don't know. No, you're talking about we're talking about the fan service, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Just the fan service of it. They kind of like they listened, and when they were given the opportunity, especially when they're wherever it is in the chronological line, and it's such a mess. Yeah. But they were like, guys, we're here.
Yeah.
We could fix this and this. And this is the only opportunity we'd ever have to do it.
Yeah.
And they managed to do it in a way. I'm actually shocked
you remember what you were talking about. You went back seamlessly, continuing.
Oh, thank you very much. But I meant that they actually... I was
like, holy shit, he's doing it. He's doing it.
He's doing it.
He's beginning to believe.
He's beginning to believe.
Sorry, dude, go ahead.
But it was. I thought they actually filled out the... I thought they filled out the characters. I thought both films did. I thought now that Han actually has that bit of tragedy to him now as well. Yeah. Behind as well, which always felt like it was there because he was constantly doing the right thing, even when like when he shows up the fight at the Death Star at the end of A New Hope. It's like, yeah, he talks the talk, he talks a big game, but at the end of it, he's actually a guy who knows what it's like to lose and knows what it means.
Yeah,
I think that I thought that that's the best thing over the two of them. I thought let's just edge this out, fill this out, and explain this.
Yeah.
And I thought that by the end of it, you were kind of going, well played.
Yeah.
That was well played. I have to give it to you.
Perfect example of the kind of movies they were trying to be in terms of their placement in the universe that existed already, if you know what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Like it filled out two huge events, the Kessel Run and how the Death Star plans were got. And also, as you said, the defect in the Death Star itself was put there on purpose. It was intentional. So it takes away that big question. Everyone's like, who the fuck designed that shit? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then you find out that was there intentionally, that it did exactly what it needed to do. It gave us characters that we gave a fuck about, and it filled in the blanks that we all wanted to know the answers to. And that's what I loved about these two movies, that it did exactly what they needed to do, like, you know?
Yeah, it did. And when you look back on them, I don't know, I look back on them fondly now, I have to say.
Yeah.
I thought when I watched them, I thought, yeah, no, that was fun. Didn't actually have much of a reaction to it.
Yeah.
But when you kind of watch it with a bit more of an analytical mind, because you know you're going to go on the record, you're going to have a few thoughts about it. You kind of think like, yeah, it was definitely made by people who knew their subject matter.
Oh, 100%.
And even if you weren't that into the feel of the Han Solo thing, because again, it felt very disjointed as a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But you'd have to give some props. It was nice to hear Sam Wicker's, that his name, voice Darth Maul at the end. It was nice to just feel like just how long the Empire ruled and what the tax and toll really was. And it was nice to see both films did it from, I'm just going with my gut an analogy again. But I just think they're two films that should be watched. I think this should be watched like you advised. I think it should be Solo, then Rogue One.
Yeah, 100%. They fit together beautifully like that, I think.
Yeah, they fit together beautifully like that. But no, I do. I think you have to understand that as it steps away from the main Star Wars canon, that you also are stepping away from the main Star Wars canon. And just try and enjoy them as two films that stand alone, because that is what they're supposed to be viewed as.
Yeah, but they also do expand on pre-existing canon already, as we touched on the question.
Oh no, they 100%. That's it. Oh, they do. They paper over the cracks and they actually talk about some stuff and make a lot more sense. But I'm just saying that, yeah, it's not going to have Skywalkers galore or anything like that, but doesn't mean that they can't be a good good movie or
the whole
something.
fucking
The
universe.
Mandalorian and Boba Fett, it feels like obviously it's catching on that people feel this way anyway. But at the time, I think people are like, "Where's my lightsabers at?" You know?
Yeah, exactly, man. It's funny that you mentioned Mando because, like, when I rewatched, like, obviously it's in complete hindsight after watching the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, the Rogue One and Solo fit in the exact same kind of world as Mandalorian, like in terms of the tone, the feel of the both of their words. You talk about the gutter, that kind of the back swamp kind of thing that like the people are doing these kind of crazy things even though they're not predestined to do them or whatever, and just like the tone of the show, the Mandalorian. I haven't seen Boba Fett yet, but we'll be covering it soon, hopefully. I think the tone of those 2 movies and The Mandalorian really fit together beautifully outside of the framework of the Skywalker saga. And it shows you that there is a different kind of outskirts to this galaxy far, far away. And these are all these characters that kind of inhabit it, and that kind of world exists and that kind of tone. And
Yeah,
to me, I thought it was fucking awesome. It's like that Western in like the way the Mandalorian was like a Western in space. I thought Rogue One was kind of like, you know, I already talked about the Pacific World War II kind of thing in space, but I just thought they caught real kind of like a real feel to them, even though they're in these like completely unreal worlds, you know. And that's what I loved about Solo, Rogue One, and Mandalorian, which we'll talk about. I'm going to drool all over that show because I fucking love it so much. But, do you have anything else you want to say, or we just get the fudge out here?
We'll just get the fudge out of here. Yeah, we're going to keep it under the hour and do what we said to do.
It's just the size of the data files, no, that's why it's going to take so long.
Yeah.
No,
but I sent it to you, Vinny. No, you sent them up.
But I just before we go out here, like, remember that satellite gets blown up? How does she send them afterwards?
You know what? This is what I was saying to you before. I went, like, there was a lot of spin in place here. I just remember kind of going, like, don't. Yeah. Eventually, I was just sitting there at one point going, "Oh yeah, you know what? I'm talking to Vinny. I'm going to mention this. I'm going to actually, you know, it's a good point." And at a certain point, I was sitting there going, "I don't know. I don't know."
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. Like, so before we get the fuck out of here, folks, I'm your host, Vincent Green.
I'm your host, John Tui.
And that was Dark Side of the Moon. That was Solo and Rogue One, Star Wars stories. And all I have to say to you is, if you're locked in a hallway and you're carrying sensitive information that the Empire might try to procure from you, and you see a red lightsaber lighting up from a smoke-filled corridor, pass that information off. Don't wait to be the last dude. Don't be that guy. Don't be dude number 7.
Don't be dude number 7.
Come on. Peace, motherfucker. May the force be with y'all.
Peace out.
I'm a god, you're a madman. This is the word of Dark Side.